Why, hello. Welcome to my 30th episode. I will be cooking. Not only that, I almost said celebration of it being my 30th episode. I've been going since April. No applause? No applause? Nothing, guys? Alright, well. In celebration of it being my 30th episode, I'm going to be cooking my best meal I've ever cooked. I'm talking in terms of flavor, heat, stuff, spice, kind of, and temperature. Does it hold that temperature while I eat it, or does this... gone? Cold? And I just want to try. If you don't mind, I'll do my podcast as I cook in front of you guys. So, okay. Now, I don't even quite know what I'm going to be making. Air-chilled, boneless, skinless chicken breasts. I'm thinking rice and vegetables to join with some sweetened iced tea, and that'll be my meal. Simple, but you can make that very flavorful. So, me do try. There is no try. There is a... I'm not known for my impressions. I don't want to contaminate that just yet. That was loud. Road noise is going to be an issue here. I am still going to need to defrost the chicken. I'm still going to do that. Oops. Okay, hopefully that's not too annoying in the background and you guys can still listen to me as I talk through this cooking process. My mom and I, we reported a drunk driver. That's not entirely fair to her. Maybe she wasn't drunk, but there were some other people who looked on and saw and said she looked drunk. I only witnessed it from her behavior, like jerking the car around her Suburban that she was driving. She hit a car in the parking lot. She starts taking off. My mom, we're ordering in the drive-thru, and she looks at me and she goes, "She just hit that car." I got out of my door. I leave the door open. I just keep walking. I'm trying to get an angle, trying to take a picture of the Suburban taking off. I can't, so I start sprinting after the the Suburban. This is when she, lunges forward. She doesn't hit anybody again, but she's honking at people trying to get out. She's really trying to escape this scene. Apparently, at McDonald's, this is a thing where drunk moms with their kids in the car will go to McDonald's thinking it's just like any other day. But it's not. It's just a Saturday. I mean, I don't know what you think about Saturdays. It's so special. Here you go. I get a small piece of the car that was hit in the parking lot that was parked. Wow, man, the sentence on that one. It's a little piece on the car from a company, so I take it to the McDonald's. They take down my info and they call the cops based on what I give them. Obviously, shouldn't be talking with a knife in my hand. I say to them, obviously, that you're bound to have it on your cameras. I mean, your cameras are working, right? So that would actually be my eyes. That would actually be the second drunk driver that I've reported in the last few weeks, and the first one almost hit me when I was on the road. Again, I'm only, I guess, supposing that she was intoxicated, but how could I be sure? I'm gonna throw in a bit of butter. Some robust extra virgin olive oil. Some robust extra virgin olive oil. Onions. Oh my word, that is something I actually cannot stand, and I know that I do it, but I live alone. But when you live with people who hum, or whistle, can't handle it really at all. I'm tempted. And then when they figure out that I don't like that they do that, they do it on purpose. So it's like, it's so funny how people do that. They figure out what you don't like and then they press into that. I am not that type of person, and I really, really can't stand people who do that. I'm gonna get my rice started. 1 cup. Actually, 1.5. That's because I lose a lot of it to the pan. Oh, so much stinks. And yeah, fine, I'm gonna wash my rice. Do you guys think I should start a Patreon? Because I kind of think I should. I think that'd be fun. And it would be mostly directed towards my cinematic adventures. Alright. Hey, it's a little hot there. Okay, I can't remember if I already said or if I just thought it. I am awful with chicken, like 50-50. I will start cooking it, I will cook it all the way through. I'll plate it, get all situated, get comfortable, cut into it, and it's totally raw. My gosh, I was so confident that it was but the gorte. This could easily be my worst meal too. I don't know. We're gonna see. So yeah, I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm just kind of guessing. I have some butter here. I think it's actually more margarine. Margarine? 0 grams trans fat per serving. And 27% vegetable oil spread. So I thought, I don't even think I washed my hands. I'm putting it into the slits that I made in the chicken. There. I'll do that, and then there. Good thing it's not timed. Well, the onion's burnt. Sir, can I actually change my order to no onions, please? Yeah, no, I can do that for you. I'm gonna go with garlic salt. Garlic itself. Then I'm gonna stab the chicken a bunch. Time to put it in. That's what she said. I talked about rude people on my last episode. I told 2 stories, and I thought of a third one, so I want to tell a third one. I went on a coffee date, and we agreed to meet at this coffee shop. I get there a little bit early, and she's already seated outside with her coffee. And I go, oh, like, hey, what's up? Let me grab my coffee, and then I'll be right back. And she's like, okay, yeah, cool. And I was like, I was kind of expecting us to, like, get coffee together, like, meet there and be like, hey, hi, I'm Collin, your whatever. I've actually been trying to remember her name for the last several weeks. So, the thing, that was weird because I was expecting us to maybe get there and, like, just go through the whole, I had never been to that coffee shop, so, like, but I guess maybe she had, but I was expecting kind of a whole thing. Not for it to be so individual. Anyways, whatever. I get my coffee after a few minutes of, like, waiting when we could be chatting this whole time. I go out, I sit down, we start talking. In probably 15 minutes, okay, maybe that's a little harsh, maybe it was a little bit more, but I didn't realize that the whole coffee date was dependent on her drinking her coffee. Meaning that when she finished her cup, she was done. She got up, she excused herself. I got up and I hugged her and I left too. I grabbed my drink and I left too. And I was thinking I should have hugged her and sat right back down and been like, I'm going to finish my coffee. If you got to finish yours, I'm going to finish mine. And that was very rude. Very rude. So I wanted to tell that story for the purpose of you guys hey, my computer just died. Man, there are some bad comedians out there. I think I have just enough time. This meal will end. I'll end the podcast with the meal. I'll taste it, tell you guys if it's the best meal I've ever made or not. But during that, I think I have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 9 or 10. I can't really count that high. Comedians. Okay, now 10. Just thought of one. I'm going to start off with the first guy, Ari Shaffir. I have a really hard time with that guy. Mostly because he admits to so much criminal behavior. And nobody does anything about it. Nobody charges him. He drugged a comedian with Molly at the dude's home. which drugging is not okay, dude. I am very sensitive about drugging other people. There's a story that I wish I could publicly tell about a friend of mine being drugged to the point where he could have lost his life. The people that did it to him were criminally charged for attempted manslaughter, dude. Rather than die, my friend was tripping for 2 whole days. But because it has to do with law enforcement, I can't share the details of the story. So, Ari Shafir, that is really, really not okay. Also, on 2 or 3 different occasions, out of sheer anger and rage, he physically beat one of my favorite comedians, Bobby Lee. He publicly humiliated him. He punched him and kicked him while he was on the ground on a couple of different occasions because he thought something had happened when it really hadn't happened. It was incorrect anger, and I'm not okay with Ari Shafir at all. So the next comic is Mindy Kaling. I have trouble with Mindy Kaling, mostly from The Office, and it's because she played that character from The Office. Kelly Kapoor is so obnoxious, but watching it back on Peacock, they have extended episodes now that I've never seen, or have stuff that I've never seen. She actually is growing on me because she's so good at being obnoxious, and that is a skill. Like, you have to know what buttons to push. If you want to annoy somebody, you have to know their buttons to push, and like I stated earlier, I'm not that type of person, so she really annoys me, and she tells Ryan that she's pregnant when she's not and stuff like that, but she does an excellent job at playing that role, and she writes some of the best episodes of The Office, so I have to give that to her. I don't have an opinion. I haven't even checked out her stand-up, so I don't really care. I think I totally just almost stabbed myself with my fork in my face. Let's make this official. Totally forgot to do the vegetable part. I really don't like the comedian Duncan Trussell. He probably has one of the most obnoxious voices I think I've ever heard in comedy. He's often on Joe Rogan's podcast. Firm believer in UFOs and aliens and everything that I do not believe in. And he is such a heavy promoter of that, and I just can't handle that. No pink so far, great sign. Speaking of obnoxious voices, I really don't like the comedian John Mulaney. On 2 separate occasions, I have tried watching his specials, and then I've come across clips of him too, and it's never got me. His perception, the way he delivers his bits, how his voice sounds, he sounds like SpongeBob all the time. Chris Stefano is really hard for me to listen to too. He sounds like he's talking like this all the time. Not with that accent, but with the nasal stuff. Very often, Chris Stefano will get on my nerves. With Chris Stefano, it's very immature. Chris D'Elia does this one voice so often in his set, and I would listen to more of Chris D'Elia's stand-up if he would not choose that voice. Hey man, he always does that voice. It's like he resorts to it constantly without knowing that he's doing it. That to me shows that he is unaware of a lot of what he's doing in comedy, and you can't be that. You have to be totally self-aware of what you're doing and how you're coming across. Or I resort to that too much. I gotta lean maybe that, push myself out of my comfort zone and try new voices and try out new things that might get people's attention instead of just having a set formula for every stand-up special that he has. I like him on his podcast. He has a fun podcast, and he's him. He talks like him. I am tolerant of that. He's very funny on his podcast, actually. Louis J. Gomez. Dude, he was just on a podcast with Nate Bargatze, Bobby Kelly, and that one other dude. Probably within the first 30 minutes, definitely the first 30 minutes, he has tried 15 different jokes that have all gotten silence. And he keeps trying. And he's like, at least I'm even the one attempting jokes. And they're like, this is a podcast. You can just be you. Certain people like Lewis, he He reminds me of... There are people that I know and get annoyed with what their mind latches onto in conversation. I'm like, out of what I just said, you got that? Or you got caught on that? Really? Especially when they try and, like, make a joke out of it or something. And that's what Lewis does. What his mind picks out of somebody's sentence is not what I pick out of their sentence at all. So his mind works very differently. But it annoys me so much. I don't know. He has a cool voice, and that's about it. He sounds like he's trying to impersonate Eric Andre. Brendan Schaub can scoot, but the dude's a UFC fighter. I think he lost every fight. And he's losing every special. Man, I do not like Brendan Schaub. He isn't Mexican, but he's married to a Mexican family, and his latest special was all about Hispanics and Mexicans and Spanish and stuff. And he's like, I don't speak a lick of it. And I'm like, you're married into a whole Mexican family, and you're not picking up on much? Brendan Schaub is notoriously not funny in the comic community. People like Joe Rogan, he's been on the Joe Rogan podcast, I think the most times. I think like 84 times or something like that. And Joe Rogan has been a little bit more honest about his thoughts about Brendan lately, and Brendan has fired back. I'm with Joe. I don't think Brendan's funny at all. Eric Andre released one single special so far. Good for him for doing that, but he screamed so much to get his joke across. He screamed into the microphone over and over and over. I thought it was very poorly done. Very poorly done. A missed opportunity for him to have done something cool and just been chill and not so coked out in his performance. Last one that I'll talk about is Whitney Cummings. I have gotten 5 to 10 minutes into each one of her specials, and I've turned them off very quickly. Can't listen to her in podcasts. Her voice, she listens to people like this. If somebody's talking to her, she's like this. I mean, it's crazy. And she says the word wild. Oh, she always goes, it's wild. It's wild. If somebody removed that word from her vocabulary, she would be like, it's... Get it? Because no other words would replace whatever. No, it is not the best meal I've ever cooked. The rice is done perfectly. The chicken, I do think, is slightly overcooked, but still steaming. So it's kept the heat very nicely. Yeah, that is the other thing. I tend to undercook, or I'll get it at temp kind of by surprise, or I will drastically overcook it, and it's like... And I have a whole other one, but I'm full, so... That was good. Perfectly timed, too. I did my list, got to talk to you guys a little bit, give some updates. Mid-November now. Thanksgiving's coming up. That week there might not be a podcast, but we'll see. See if my boss lets me. I just got a brand deal from a company that sells Shart survival kits. It looks like a first aid kit, but you open it and it prepares you for sharding your pants or for having just sharded yourself. And then stuff comes out, but down there. That's like what that is. I think that's my party. 30 episodes. Go freaking off. Me.